Move on to the next story now. Speaking of not being able to afford a home, it would appear that the Tories are now about to criminalise homelessness.
I mean, this is a weird set of regulations because what they want to do is it's very broad, open-ended new laws that will mean that people can be moved on and potentially arrested for all manner of things. And the problem is actually the police already have perfectly good laws for moving on people who are a nuisance. And let's be clear here, when we talk about homelessness, there is no just sort of homeless blob. There are people who are homeless for all sorts of different reasons, mental health, economic reasons, but there are also professional beggars. There are people who are professionally homeless. We can't get away from that. They're perhaps not the majority, but they do exist. But the laws already exist to deal with those people. So this sort of open-ended ability to criminalise anybody who is homeless, you know, it comes from the same place that they thought, well, we'll make having a tent in the centre of London illegal. That'll just automatically mean that people decide not to be homeless. It's not a very sensible thing. As you can see, different parts, different wings of the Tory party. You've got people like Ian Duncan Smith, quite, you know, on the sort of the firm right of the party, quite hardline on lots of things, or people like Damien Green, who's perhaps a bit more of a wet. They're all sort of coalescing and saying, hang on, these laws aren't a very good idea. And also politically, it really grates when you've got the Prince and Princess of Wales saying to everybody, our sort of, you know, the thing that we're going to do in the next couple of years is try to make homelessness less of a problem, and we're going to do it through far more compassionate things. So you've got two wings of the state, if you like, saying we both recognise there's a problem. One says we're going to try and do it, you know, progressively, and the other goes, haha, no, we're just going to make it illegal.
And it's fascinating, isn't it? Because they've Rishi Sunak has really made so much of this boats policy, and a lot of people are saying, you know, well, we need to look after our own. Before we put asylum seekers up in hotels, we need to look after our own first, and asylum seekers are stopping us from doing that. Well, look what happens.
Yeah, this is us looking after our own. I mean, I think this is just... it's just kind of vile, this policy. You know, the definition of nuisance is so broad. It could be anything from sleeping in a doorway to having an excessive smell, and that would mean that you are potentially able to be criminalised under this policy, which includes a fine of up to £2,500, people sleeping on the street. I think this all smacks of that horrible homelessness is a choice. Some people, you know, kind of lean into homelessness. It's absolutely appalling.
So what is going through the heads of these politicians as we approach a general election? This really seems like fiddling whilst Rome burns. There are much bigger issues, aren't there, for the Conservative Party to focus on if they actually want to make sure the electorate votes for them.
I completely agree, and I think this makes most people in this country really uncomfortable. I don't think there is a kind of vast wave of people in this country who find homelessness, you know, something that, you know, people are on the side of homelessness. I think we're very generous. I think we all feel, you know, it's deeply uncomfortable that we have a homelessness problem in this country. I don't think criminalising those people, calling them nuisances and moving them on is going to appeal to anyone at all.
No.
What are they thinking, Benedict?
If I'm honest with you, I think that this is a policy that has been dreamt up by people who have spent far too much time in the centre of London. It comes from the same place as those who want to sort of scrap VAT for foreign tourists on luxury goods. It's about giving the impression that Britain is a nice country and everything works and we don't have... I think it's an almost purely aesthetic measure to basically rid the centre of London from a lot of homeless people. And let's be clear, there are a lot more homeless people in the centre of London over the last few years. That's largely driven by, as we've said, you know, various economic reasons that means
and
that
not
people
just London. Like, go to any city centre. It drives me at the wall that people think that London's, you know, like got the worst problem. But
that is, I think, what the motivation is, because actually, you know, I remember when I lived in Liverpool, there was a very large homelessness problem, but this was not front and centre of the Tory party then. It's now that it's become very much a central London issue that they've gone, oh, we should probably do something.
Well, it's in plain sight, isn't it?
It comes from the same place as wanting to sort of ban American candy stores or those sort of annoying bikes that, you know, blare music. Is that something that actually affects most people? No, but it's in the centre of London, so politicians see it and they think something should be done about it.